So, one thing that has always been confusing to me growing up is how do I look? Sometimes in life, you just sort of wonder, like, do people really find me pretty or ugly? Like, what category do I fit in? Well, growing up in two worlds have always given me that one confusion, and yeah, based on certain factors, which I am gonna say today, and that is why today's video is about Nigerian versus Romanian beauty standards. So in Nigeria, beauty standards kind of fall in two categories, and I think that is like in a huge part of the world being the traditional way, like um the old school way, like the old beauty standards, and the modern day beauty standards, of course. In Nigeria, there are a lot of bizarre beauty standards. Like, I'm talking about beauty standards which I really find beautiful. Like, I don't have a problem with how people look in general, but when when you stay in other parts of the world, you're just like, wow, these people actually appreciate this, and that's a really beautiful thing itself. In Nigeria, for old beauty standards, like during the vintage days, the colonial era, like the days of my grandparents, let's say about 50 years ago ish, you will hear some beauty standards like if a woman is really hairy, she's considered beautiful. If a man looks very strong, like, he looks well fed, not really like muscular. Like, if he looks well fed, in fact, a big belly would be seen like you're eating properly. And a bunch of beauty standards, like if you have like between your teeth, in some places in Nigeria they call it a gap tooth. So if you had that during those days, it was a beauty standard. Some people also saw tribal marks as a beauty standard, but I think those were like the really really olden days, like the days of my great grandparents. And some of my grandparents, like our grandparents, also met that beauty standard. Like, the bigger the tribal mark, the more beautiful the person is, which is crazy because obviously not everywhere in the world you find tribal marks. Okay, back then, for some reason, another beauty standard was being plus size, like for men and women. Like, for a man, it looked like he was well fed, and for a woman, it was just seen like she was healthy. So back then, a lot of men would look for women with plus sizes to marry and all that. Like, it was seen as something desirable, okay? Another one will also be having a tall stature. Like, if you are really, really tall, like not like tall, like huge, like you're not petite, I would say. Like, you know, you're just big, kind of like your age, I guess. They found us really beautiful back, okay, both for men, both for women. And to my surprise, I remember that there were the last time my aunts from my maternal side came to visit, who might have, grown up around that era. She was like, you need to eat, to be big like me. And I was like, I don't want that. Okay, I'm satisfied with how I look. So I guess that was really a standard back then. So now let's get to modern Nigerian beauty standards. In modern Nigerian beauty standards, some people still like, whatever that is called, the gap tooth or teeth or whatever. Yeah, it's still kind of seen as a beauty standard in today's world. Back in the 2000s, like during my mom's time when she was young like me, vibrant, she would tell me that some people would get it artificially done. Like, if they had closed teeth, they would go somewhere, I don't know where, if it's to the dentist or I don't know where. Beauty standards nowadays in Nigeria also include having, a flat waist, like a flat belly, sorry, and a small waist, but mostly a flat belly, especially for younger women and all that. For men, Nigerians seem to find um tall, dark men Very attractive. Okay, so I think that is the modern day beauty standard for guys. In the modern day society, basically everywhere, people tend to find muscles attractive and as beauty standards. So it also happens to be in Nigeria in the modern age. For women, long hair, like I don't mean, Western standard of long hair. In Nigeria, if your hair is somewhat to your shoulder, it's considered quite long compared to a huge part of the population. So if you have your hair full, healthy, and long, it is seen as attractive. Clear skin is also seen as attractive, like as the beauty standard in modern day Nigeria. And some people still live with the ideology of skin tone determining like a person's beauty. I've lived in societies where people, if they find you way, 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 way too dark, they can be very colorist and tell you to bleach, which I strictly do not support, by the way. Yeah, so some people still unfortunately find, you know, your skin tone to consider how beautiful you are or something like that, in Nigeria. And I think this was also part of those things back in the day. I just don't know how popular it was. And of course, the number one beauty standard in Nigeria, I think, is a curvy figure. They call it a figure eight. The figure eight. That is what they call it. So yeah, we all know how an hourglass figure looks like. And yeah, that's the beauty standard in Nigeria. Now let's get to the Romanian beauty standards. The standards I am forced to live by over here. Not necessarily like I said, I'm satisfied with myself. And of course, as before, I'm going to start with the vintage old, not really vintage, but like the old school kind of beauty standards. The 80s, the 90s, and so on. A lot have changed compared to now for women, but most of the beauty standards for men has pretty much remained the same. Unfortunately, I will have to be talking more about the female beauty standards, as since it has more standards. Romanians back in the day often preferred a very slim figure. You could be curvy, but not exaggeratingly curvy. You had to look healthy, you had to look clean. It was like you had to look feminine, but without doing too much. Like soft glam, if you should wear makeup, very soft, very natural, smaller features. And they also love this idea of pale skin, like Snow White's kind of pale skin, long legs. Yeah. No, I mean today I'm not sure if the beauty standard exactly has to do with having long legs, but I know that today having nice legs, okay, is seen as a beauty standard. But yeah, back in the day, having long legs, just being well kept, healthy, not looking underweight, not looking overweight or plus size, respectfully and all. So that was basically the standard back then for what I researched and for my observations from older people and let's just say some of my friends' moms back in the day and the stories they will tell. As for today, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, depending on people's preferences, a lot of the beauty standards have been influenced by, let's say, the Western beauty standards through the internet, of course, and social media mostly. So basically, most of what you see online is today's, let's say, Romanian beauty standards, but I'm gonna make it more specific. So a lot of Romanians aren't really born with big features such as maybe full lips or maybe very big eyes or something like that or very full brows and so on, but because of the internet these have somewhat become the beauty standard. Having a nice side profile is now seen as a beauty standard. Having a nice nose is now seen as a beauty standard, and I do not even know what a nice nose is. Although recently, I think people have learned to accept their nose more freely. Their nose is more freely, so I don't know for that one, but about 2 3 years ago, everybody was doing that nose construction surgery just to change um their lineage, like it will make a difference. um, no shade or anything, but hey, people are getting lip fillers a lot. Clear skin is still, still a standard. Well, people do all sort of makeup. No one really cares if you're trying to be soft feminine, whatever feminine, all of that and stuff. People don't also have a problem if you're exaggeratingly curvy or not. But one beauty standard that has remained now is that, that's um hourglass figure, like having a small flat waist. Yeah, so I guess a lot of it have really just been influenced by the internet and stuff. Having nice legs. Yeah. Some things have been, let's say, more normalized, such as having full brows and not having to thin them out much as far as they're neat. But yeah, other than that, I guess some things have changed anyway. As for the guys, them being basically muscular, yeah, has been the standard. And depending on, let's say, the trend as of that era, one beauty standard for guys have always been hair. Okay, so let's say maybe during the 80s, there was a specific kind of haircut for guys who, which was socially seen as more preferable, and so on and so forth. And right now, some people see guys with long hair as the standard. Some people see any hairstyle but a buzz cut or being bald as the standard. But most guys, for their beauty standard for haircuts, I guess is just, a taper fade, a low taper, just a fade, okay? Just a fade, I think. It's just, just the thing nowadays. But anyways, instead of talking about beauty standards on the outside, let's focus more on the inside, because I don't think that's something that should change along the years, because we're still improving, we're still evolving as human beings, and I guess that's all we really need. And I sincerely apologize for not being able to post as often, as life has been so busy, and I would really love it if y'all try to understand. So I will try my best, but for the time being, I can't say that I can be posting as often as I used to. Temporarily, of course.